Good evening, everybody. Welcome to your Monday night episode of Not Another Rangers podcast. We are waiting on Scott, who's on his way here any moment. And his internet is unsurprisingly playing up, as we were talking about beforehand. So while we're doing that, I'll just say, how are you this evening, Ricky?
No, good, mate. Good. A bit annoyed still after the weekend. Rangers managed to stir up emotions that you didn't even know existed in your body. But we'll see how things go, mate. We'll see how things go. Looking forward to the pod.
Good, right, so good to see you. So obviously I missed Friday night's episode, and there's no truth in the rumour I was kind of huffed because that would have been dropped. I did listen to you back, and that was not the case. And there's no truth also in the rumour that I'm back tonight because he's this league top goal scorer, and he showed everybody up again over the weekend. I was at a function actually, a works function, and I was getting a few drinks in, and they were happily giving me critique on the podcast. Some of the ones that watch it. So the critique was it's too bland in my house. So my apologies for that, people. Hopefully that's yeah. And the other one was that the intro lasts for far too long, and they're low attention. That means the time it's finished, they've moved on to something else. So I try to cut the intro a bit short, so hopefully that's a bit quicker for them tonight if they're watching. Apparently the attention span is that low that by the time the intro is done, they've moved on to watching the Teletubbies or something. Who knows? So we're back tonight. Not a lot of positives to discuss from Saturday. Hopefully some positives to discuss from next week or from this tomorrow night actually. But I suppose first, Ricky, what was your reflections then just in the game before we get into some of the bigger parts of it?
Raging, mate. Absolutely. I'll be honest, it's not often you get what you want as a Rangers fan, and I was so excited, as we spoke about on Friday, me and Kerr, I wanted it to be the same lineup. And I'll be honest with you, I was way overconfident in my head on Saturday. I was way overconfident with what I was going to see. I really expected us to kick on after that performance on Tuesday. Now, listen, you know Dundee's going to play a low block. It's going to be 10 men behind the ball. But after 5 minutes of watching that game on Saturday, and oh my God, man, vegan ball is Timu Geo ball, if you ask me, man, because it was so bad. It was like Suter to Jigga to Aarons to Jigga to Suter to Yefte to Jigga to Suter to Yefte. They keep going on like that. I mean, 100 and odd passes that the two centre backs had. Everything that's wrong with modern football. Slow, pedestrian. Watching John Suter trying to move like he's in quicksand, kick a football is just embarrassing. He's getting hung out to dry in this system. And honestly, I'm not just saying this, Gary, being over dramatic. I've never been so disappointed to see us go so backwards after such a positive performance on Tuesday. I really thought we'd turned the corner. I will probably get clipped for all this. I'm sure all the Celtic fans are tuned in and they've got every right to laugh at us because we're laughing at ourselves. But it was really pathetic, mate. Really disappointed, and it needs to get better fast. It needs to get better. Everything needs to change quick, Gary, because Martin's living in cuckoo land if he thinks that he's going to get 2 months to get this team purring and stuff like that. I know that people are saying he won't get sacked. I'm not calling for him to get sacked. I've listened to other podcasts going on about getting him sacked. Come on, guys, get a grip, man. He's just been employed 2 minutes ago, but it needs to improve, Gary, and it needs to improve fast.
Yeah, I was laughing when you were saying there, Ricky. Do you know, I'm sure last week's pause, you've never been so happy after one, then back to never been so bad. Then next week, never been so happy. Tomorrow, hopefully, come Friday night's never been so happy again, and we'll go back and forward for the rest of the season, perhaps.
I actually am glad that we've done a deal with Alwa today, because I think what we should do is just loan them our full first team for Saturday, and we play the reserves, and that well, maybe we've got a chance of beating them, because we know we're going to win tomorrow night, and then Alwa will end up beating us 1-0. So just we'll loan them the full first team, and then we might have a chance.
And Scott, even worse for you, you were away at 30th on Saturday night, so you chose, despite knowing the result, to watch the game fully the next day. How was your observations, maybe in the cold light of day?
Shite, Gary, basically. I watched it back to see how we played, and the first half is very slow, very tedious. We only really do anything. The second half is worse. We only started to show a wee bit of impetus when the subs come on, to be fair. I thought when Raskin came on, Dillo I'm not going to slag Dowell. I don't think he deserves the slagging, even though I think he's not good enough. Tab, I thought we should have a wee bit more. I thought we had to go forward. I thought Raskin was actually putting the ball in between the defenders and he put a couple into Gisama. And before that, we were only trying these things, Gary. I know the players deserve a lot of criticism, and so does the manager. But is the manager telling them not to play these balls? Or the players not want to play the ball? Do you know what I mean? Because they're passing it that much. It's tedious, it's slow, it's negative. And I know, listen, I know we gave Barry Ferguson a bit of criticism, right? But give him a bit of credit. Last season, he changed it a few times during games when things weren't going right. I don't see Martin being able to do this. I think Martin's stuck in his ways. He's one of these newfangled coaches. This all comes from Pep. Everybody wants to play the Pep way ever since he was at Barca. And it's good to watch if you've got quality footballers. But if you haven't, stick to it, And I just think people say we need time. He needs time. But why does he need time? I don't mean, why does he need time to get his style into these players when you look at other setups with Motherwell, McInnes at Hearts, and no disrespect to them, but they don't spend as much money as us, not as big as us. But they've hit the ground running a bit. We've not. So why does Martin need time, but these guys don't? Because even if we're not playing well, surely we've got enough talent in that park to beat Motherwell and Dundee.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I just feel like he's boxing a lot of excuses, Martin, and he flings players under the bus. Middlesbrough slightly, Motherwell. Then on Saturday, he said he was happy with a point. I'm getting confused. It's starting to get me Clement and Michael Beale a better start. And I sent you that image of Michael Beale and Martin together, and it actually quite scary. But I don't know, Gary. I'm not going to sit here and say I wanted the manager because a lot of folk didn't, but I don't know where we go with this because I don't see it getting any better. I honestly don't. European football's different, but domestically, I don't see us getting any better.
So we'll get into the game in a bit of detail. Actually, just you're talking about Michael Beale. I think I watched his interview today. What did he say? 1-18, drew 1 and lost 1 in his first 20 games. I think was his stat. He was quite happily telling you how good he'd done at the time. And I watched that couple of minute interview. Anyway, tonight we'll talk obviously about the game in a bit of detail. We'll talk about the game against Pilsen tomorrow. Not like Poznan, Ricky, as you were chinning for a few times. I've seen in the comments. And this new cooperation agreement, the potential new signing. So lots to cover in the space of the next hour or so. The good thing is, maybe in that case, there's not enough lot to cover in the game. Certainly the first half, Ricky, as you say, the team lineup was the same team lineup that had performed so well against Pilsen. You were advocating that. You thought that was a certainty. You said woohoo on our group chat when it happened. And I suppose the bit that was interesting was Martin said after the game that he should have made a few changes, despite the fact that it took him to Giga was sent off before he actually did.
I know, but we had a good enough team on the park to beat Dundee, mate. We're playing against Dundee. We're playing against Stephen Presley. We're playing against a guy that looks like he's just stepped off a ghost train, mate. He was losing every single game in the League Cup. They were getting hammered. Like the guys, Dundee fans want him fired already. And it's about the players. It's so many things wrong with this, right? But the performance, that was so annoying was, why is the defence just passing the ball to each other? Why is Rothwell not coming to get the ball off a Suter, or Raskin playing in the 6 and getting the ball off the defence and trying to break the lines? Because we know Suter's not good enough to break the lines. You can see that Jigga getting sent off an absolute mile away. Suter is okay at passing the ball when he doesn't have to that many times, but he should not be the playmaker being asked to be Franco Baresi and a Russell Martin team. Nothing he's doing is making sense at all against a low block. Why you think that you're just going to sit and play the ball in your defence and let the team get 10 players behind the ball and block off all the lines? The two number 8s, Cameron and Diamande, man, Jesus. Let's have a discussion about that guy, because his start to the season, he was the reason for me that performance was so bad on Saturday. His performance was pathetic, and I hope he's dropped tomorrow night and on the bench and he doesn't even get on, because honestly, there was a few times Ant-Man made really good runs and Diamande just played it back to the defence because he's got no confidence. He's tripping over the ball. He's trying to do pirouettes and he's all over the place. But our two number 8s are completely lost in traffic. There's no space. There's no movement. Nobody's coming towards the ball. It's an absolute shit show. It's like how not to play against the low block. And like we speak about Martin's press conference, like his demeanour was totally different. I just watched it before we came on the pod, and he's went from confident and to total arrogance. He was treating the press with complete disdain, and he was just sitting there. The way that he was talking, you can tell he sort of went into that not going to give a shit mode already. Like 2 games into the season is just crazy, Gary. But honestly, so many things have got to change, and they've got to change fast. And I'm hearing things about the players. They're saying that they're buying into it. They're telling us it's great and training's been good. The players are fit. So why are we not seeing that on the park? We're playing against Dundee. We had a softball start to the season, and we made the same mistake again. Oh, if we win every game before we play Celtic, we'll win every game before we play Celtic. Then after we beat Celtic, we'll be 3 points clear. We can't even win 1 game in a row, mate. It started last season with Ferguson. 4 games to go. We'll have to win 4 games, and we couldn't even win 1 game. So what is going on with our club, mate? Because it is just, it's mental. 6 new players were in that team. To be fair, the players that let us down for me were still John Souttar. Diamande was so bad. So it's still some of the old players that are letting us down because they can't play Russell Martin's system. But he needs to get other players in to help him to play this system, because I tell you, if this keeps going the way it is, then Ibrox is not going to get any prettier for him, that's for sure.
So, Scott, to go back to the point, I was saying that Martin talked about should have made a few changes before, and I think I was saying on the group chat that at half-time it was pretty obvious there was very little happening in terms of 5 players. Well, 5 and 5, basically Dundee were playing a 5-5-0, and we were very congested. It was crying out at that time at half-time to make changes, whether you bring on Danilo to add a bit more movement up front, because you don't need Dio. As you said, Dio wasn't doing anything anyway. Didn't need him. Aaron's was having a bit of a nightmare passing backwards over and over again repeatedly and not adding nothing to the game. So I think you could see quite clearly, you watch the game back, that there was changes required, and it didn't happen.
That's what I mean. Gary's stubborn, as in he thinks it'll eventually work, and it might well do, but it might be further down the line, maybe another 10, 12 games, and we've not got time to wait on that. You can see the players we've got. I mean, somebody like Tav, for example, right? We've all got our opinions on Tav, but when somebody like Tav, he can play the ball down the line. So if you get somebody like that man there, that ball's perfect down the line because we're on it. To the wingers, don't give them the ball with the backs to go, because they will struggle, especially in tight situations. Especially like you mentioned, the 2-8, somebody running off them either, and they want the ball in front of them. It's a bit like 11 crans years ago. A ball in front of 11 crans, he was brilliant. Back to goal, he struggled. And Ant-Man and I think Saman's are the same. You've seen it when they get the ball in front of them. They're great, they're confident, they're willing to take players on, they'll create, they'll try a shot. But playing back to goal, they struggle because there's nothing to create. Then they come back away and everything's just back. And I don't know where he's going. He obviously brought in this other centre half, nearly. But that's 2 centre halves he brought in. One's not played yet, and another boys. This boy's hardly played as well. Nearly £5 million, or maybe more than that, on 2 centre halves. Yet Big Souttar's getting most passes, and I mean, somebody just said in the comments, I think it was Alan, he said he's a siege defender. We all know John Souttar's a siege defender. He'll fling his head in front of us, things, he's flings his body. But get him to play like Ricky mentioned, Baresi. He's going to struggle, but he's not going to say, I don't want to do it, because he wants to play. So he's going to say, right, I'll try it. But you see him with the sending off. That was his loose ball. He didn't have to play that ball, Gary. There was other options, but he tried to. It's the first time he actually put a pass forward, but he gave it away, and then you're on your back foot because that many people's pushed into areas they shouldn't be in. I don't know where we go, Gary, to be honest with you. I think things have to change, but the manager won't change it. So, and people say, talk about time and talk about players, but 6 players he signed started.
Aye.
He signed 10. So how many signings does he actually need before this clicks? Because we're linked on our keeper with our centre back coming in, he says maybe a couple more. So if he brings in 11 players and he starts them and it's still not working, whose fault? Who does he throw under the bus in?
No. I think no, I'd agree, and I don't think necessarily it's always they've been the older players that have been the poorer players. You talk about the goal. I'm going to come to the goal that we lost. So Shooter's got a lot of criticism, but I've watched it various times. I've said bits. I mean, if you watch the ball, it's a bad pass, no doubt about it. But one, Aarons doesn't track back. But secondly, there's three defenders, three midfielders. Just watch a guy run right through them before he passes the ball. That show lack of effort from those. I can't do it. Rothwell and a few others that just let the guy run right through the middle of them before he passes the ball.
You're on about the sending off, aren't you?
No, the goal. I said no.
The goal. The sending off. Yeah, because they were all flat-footed. They were all flat-footed because they didn't expect Suter to be like. Why is Suter the player that's having to do all these passes? Why is Suter the one that's having to break the lines? I don't even blame John Suter. I blame the manager because he's got this daft system. The fullbacks again, after we played well on Tuesday, are running into the centre again, which is just like it is like watching how not to break down a low block. Dessers had one of his matches as well up front where, oh my God, he's diving about. As soon as anyone goes near him, he's arguing with the ref after 2 minutes. His control was so bad again. I'm not going to say get rid of him and all that again, but he was so bad. But the sending off, the reason that all the players were flat-footed is because they didn't expect Suter to try and pierce a ball through three Dundee players. But what you're on about is the big fault that we were told from Southampton fans and Swansea fans is, Martin, when it works, you'll play brilliant football, but you're so susceptible to the breakaway and you're susceptible to teams coming on to you because he doesn't know how to set up a defence. It's the same as the goal where John Suter's pointing, but nobody, Jeffday's having to jump with three absolute monsters at the back post. And that was what was happening against Victoria Pilsen as well. They were doing that same move all the time. So we're doing all this super duper coaching, all this amazing coaching that we've got the best coaches and we're going to play Pep Guardiola football. But we're not doing the basics. We can't defend. We're so open in Scotland. I mean, these teams have got us on toast. What I love about Scottish football is very honest. And you'll get found out. People will find out all of this. This is what you're trying to do because it's so obvious. Imagine what's going to happen to us if we're so open when you're playing against pace. We've got some big games coming up against Celtic and against Hearts. They'll exploit all that space if you're going to do exactly the same thing. So that's what I'm saying. Martin needs to sort this out very, very fast. And the way he was speaking in the press conference today, I don't care about the league and it doesn't matter about the league. I mean, I agree that you can't do it. There's no point in looking at the league table until you play one full round of fixtures. But that's okay if you feel like things are going all right. We can see already we're dropping points left, right and centre. You're just not going to catch Celtic if you give them a 15-point gap by the time you get into September. You're just never going to catch them. It's not going to happen. So he needs to get this sorted out, Gary. There's so many things wrong with his setup and the way that he's trying to play in Scotland. And he also said that he was surprised by the way Dundee set up. They played the same way the week before against Hibs, for God's sake, man. What was he surprised about? You could watch Sportscene and see the way they set up. So he's talking mints already. And fans are angry already.
There is a balance, as you say. It's only 2 games in. So seeing the actual goal we did lose, right? So I'm sitting directly above it, and I say to my daughter that there's 3 guys at the back post, and you could watch it. It was quite straightforward. It wasn't difficult to see. So they're going to win the first ball. There's no doubt on that. But what I suppose the worrying thing for me was that the ball comes back in and the guy's still unmarked when they've got 7 defenders in there. And I suppose that's probably the bigger failing than 3 at the back post in some ways. The second ball it was a case a few times against Dundee and against Pilsen actually, and a few other games. The second ball at the edge of the box, players were able to get onto. And that looks like maybe a bit more of a structural thing, Scott.
Yeah, I think it's the way we set up, Gary. I don't know why we're so high. I know a lot of teams do that now, seem to have that high line, but I don't know why, because it only takes one person not to move, really, same as others, and you're snookered. But I always remember Walter saying it years ago, I think it was before the Leeds game, and they had big Lee Chapman up front, they said, if we don't win the first ball, because he's good in there, win the second ball, because they can't in there. And we've done that. So like you said, we don't win the first ball, right, because we're not... In the air, we're not very good. At set pieces, we're not very good at defending them. So if you don't win that first ball, make sure you win the second one. So you said the ball into an area where the boy was standing himself, and it was a good header, to be fair to him.
Okay, that's man.
But he had a lot of time and nobody near him to shut him down. But Souttar's there, Jigger's there, you're thinking, I mean, are they zonal marking and they're picking up shots? We don't know. And Alexander put in the chat for Martin being a centre back. He seems to be struggling defensively, but it's not just with us. He's done it with his previous clubs. And you know yourself in Scotland. I mean, Dundee captain said after the game in the presser, they said they came to Ibrox expecting to get something because that's no Rangers. Rangers aren't at their best. But that's been like that for how long now? So if you've got Dundee coming to Ibrox looking for something, you've other teams coming the same. Someone done it last season, a few teams done it, and it's we can talk about players, talk about managers, but we just have to find a formation that works. And I don't know what that is. I mean, I said in the chat earlier, go 4-4-2. It was a kind of sarcastic remark, but a 4-4-2 might actually work because nobody plays it these days, so they might struggle to actually know how to defend against it. Because Dessers, you can give him a bit of stick, but he's up there himself. Yeah, I don't like falling to ground and looking for stuff constantly. That's pathetic, but he's up there himself with nothing to feed off of. But if you've got somebody else here, you mentioned bringing on Danilo, it gives your defender somebody else to mark, so just maybe 2 or 3 marking one guy, because you know the ball's not going to come through him anyway. So it has to change, but I don't feel with St Mirren's up next, and that's going to be very difficult because St Mirren are decent at home. They play the same type of game. They're physical as well. And we seem to lack any physicality unless Raskin's in the team, but for some reason, him and Raskin, well, he doesn't really seem to rate Raskin as much as maybe I do, but I don't know. I don't know, Gary. You have to ask Russell Martin this. But tomorrow night, I expect us to go through and play quite well. But then domestically, you're thinking, but I mean, I was out on Saturday and I was talking to a few boys who were Celtic fans, and they were saying the same. They say, you can't play domestically, but in Europe, you're great. He said, I wish we were as good in Europe as you are. He says, but I know we won the league this season because no matter who you sign, he's never turned up. And it's no great to hear that for other fans, but it's actually true.
I suppose that's a whole different question for another day. Maybe how can you sign 10, 11, 12 players and it's no turn up? But whose fault then does that become? You know, cause I keep hearing this culture, mentality, all these other things, but if you keep bringing in different players,
I disagree, Gary. I think this squad needs gutted. I think you need to get rid of. I think until you get rid of the leadership group, and even Raskin would be the only one I would keep out the full team. And I know I said that. Honestly, Raskin is Diamande is the one that's letting us down again. John Souttar can't play this type of football. Butland is bricking himself every time the ball comes back to you. You know we're going to give up a goal soon. We're going to give up one of these. Butland's going to kick it to a guy and he's going to come in. You can see it coming an absolute mile away, and it better not be against Celtic. But the players are just. This is this modern football, and this is why it drives supporters crazy. To me, management should be, this is the players I have. I want to play a certain way in the future, but this is the players I have right now. So even like tomorrow night, put Raskin next to Rothwell and tell one of them they have to go and get the ball off the centre back. If John Souttar's playing balls out from defence, I'm going to take you 2 off. Make space, leave 2 of them a little bit deeper. There's no point in having 2 8s and if they're just completely surrounded by traffic, Gary. But no, for me, there's still way too many weak players with the mentality that it's okay to not turn up in Scotland. And I still think there's too many players in our squad that have got old scars. And I'm not on about Tavernier before people go on about Tavernier. I think there's too many players in our complete squad. There's a few red flags with Martin. Why he never completely disbanded that leadership group and thought it was okay just to add Dowell was the weirdest thing for me, which is just the way that he dresses on the touchlines is weird as this leadership group, to be honest with you. And there's just when I look at red flags that I see, I just think it just blows my mind, mate. Because how can you keep the same leadership group when the same things keep happening? So for me, the squad still needs absolutely gutted. And Martin might not be. If Rangers are willing to give Martin 2 seasons and realise that Ibrox is going to be toxic for a full season and fans are going to be on the back and everything, then fair play to them. But they have to give him the right players. He needs another he probably needs another 9 players in that squad, and it's definitely not going to happen in this window. I expect another 3 or 4 might come in, maybe 5 if Yefte moves on to Brazil. There's rumours that this team's in for him for a lot of money. So then, but this team still needs the whole squad still needs completely transformed.
I am going to disagree with you actually, Ricky, just because I'm getting to the point. I think when you have international players, whether you think they're good in terms of Rigaman, Suter, Dessers, Diamandi, Raskin, all these guys are internationals at the level. So they obviously have a level of quality, and you can argue how good that quality is. It's been supplemented by 10 players. I don't think Russell Martin has any excuses if he doesn't perform coming into the season.
They're international players that play in a certain way. Raskin's a Belgium number 6, so any manager for me that comes in, you've got one of the best international teams in the world. You build the team around the Belgium number 6, but he doesn't do that. It's a mix of both. He's so blinkered in the way that he wants to play. So Suter is okay, Diamandi's this, the Hingy's this, but they don't work in his system because he's asking them to play this mad style of football that just confuses them, and they don't have the ability to do it. So it's a whole mixture of things.
I think it is. I suppose I think maybe it's a bit of a get out of this. If these are elite players, international players, they should be able to adapt to any system pretty easily in some ways. I think there's a little bit of a fallacy around that. They're all technically skilled enough to be able to do the things they want to do. But certainly, so whether they need to go out this full squad or whether Martin just needs to get them playing a certain way and get them playing properly as a unit, a cohesive unit, is maybe a different thing. So we're looking at a game, and I don't want to get into much more of the game. And Beale was really poor, as you said, but he's been poor all season. I thought Aarons has been poor for probably all 5 games. He got a bit of leeway for the first 3 against the left back. But we went kamikaze, Scott. When we went basically 2-2-5, I think, or 2-2-4. I can't remember how many players. 2-2-5. Would that be what it was? With effectively Tav and Suter at the back, Raskin and who knows in the middle park, and just 5 attackers all trying to get back into the game, and much more intensity. It actually looked it wasn't the right way to play, but it was probably much more the exciting 15 minutes of the game.
That was the best we played, Gary, even down to 10 men, because we had a bit of cutting edge. We had the folk willing to go forward. We had the ball going forward, and we don't use the ball enough. We don't. It's all 5-10 yard passes, and it's pointless for me. You're passing me triangles, just getting you nowhere. Another team are sitting back in the half line, just having a wee break until you decide to move the ball forward and pick you off. But no, that was the best we played. You had Raskin jumping forward. Curtis come on, he was trying. Ant-Man went over with Gassama, so there was a threat down, a double threat down the left side, and I thought we looked decent. There's always a chance we can see it again because you're going that far forward, but we never. And we scored, and obviously we could have scored one at the end if Dessers wasn't offside. But it's one of these things that happen as a striker. The ball comes through, he's probably thinking, "My God, this ball's going through to me eventually." Took his chance, well, just offside, but. That's what I mean. You can see an offensive system. There's talent there, but I just feel he's overcomplicating things. There's a lot of passes, Gary. You're sitting watching it, and you're probably saying to yourself, "Why have you made the same pass 14 times in that triangle? Why have you not went forward yet?" Because against Paulson, they did go forward.
But they put the ball over the top, Scott. Not once. You need to mix up, no matter what style.
You do. I agree with you. And Peter Crouch said that not long ago. I was watching thing with Peter Crouch, and he said a lot of teams play the ball out for the back. He said when he was at Stoke, Tony Pulis hated that. He said everybody's going to play the ball out for the back, so you press them. And he said, I can't remember who they were playing, but he said they tried it. I mean, we picked them off twice and scored. But he said Tony Pulis would try it at times, but he didn't like it just to confuse our team, because he says when they would come up and sit forward on us, press on us, we just lump it forward, so you're bypassing our team midfield, and you've got a couple of guys up front that can take a ball in. But we've not tried that. I mean, I've seen Tab putting a ball forward. I think it was an night against Paulson, and I don't know if it was Martin or another boy, is it Gilks or something, was shouting at him. I don't know if he's shouting at him good ball or shouting at him as because he put the ball, because now Tab likes to hit the ball forward down the line. And I was trying to get that man involved, so I don't know if he was getting criticised for it, if he was saying good ball, but that's sometimes the type of things you've got to do. You have to go direct. You can't always play the neat and tidy stuff. We all know it looks good at times, but sometimes just be more direct. I like the goals maybe hit 3 passes and it's been the back of the net. They're great goals. I mean, simple stuff.
when I watch it, Pep goes direct at times. You mix it up, you move the ball about, you bring the guy in. Sometimes you're spins behind. The goal against Pilsen, the third goal, obviously was about doing that. Do you know, in some ways?
Yeah, I know.
Even
Aaron's put the ball down, didn't he? Ant-Man crossed it and Sam is there 3 pitches in the back of the net, whereas and against Dundee, Suter's taking 33 pitches before he gets it forward.
not once that the game being obviously looking down on it on the pitch. Not once did they do that. Each of the time, it was easier for Dundee. You're effectively watching 10 ants move from side to side.
Exactly.
There was nothing else to worry about. They knew the ball wasn't going at any point. So much as it was slow, it was turgid. The rest of it was also easy to defend against. If you just keep your shape and just shuffle left and shuffle right, and the line maybe in a lucky cross or something getting a goal. Do
you honestly think it Martin's got a style? Because everything I've watched or read for previous teams, it doesn't seem to have, which to me is quite worrying because that might be fine in Europe because teams come on you more. But in Scotland, I don't know everybody sits, by the way. Motherwell never sat deep against us and they should have beaten us.
Half the teams don't sit. Half the teams don't sit in Scotland now.
But if he's not got an adaptable style up here, is this going to work for him? Because I think he will struggle.
It's just a lack of tempo, boys. Like why we got such even from the start of the match with this Rangers team, it doesn't seem to be what matters what players you pick. You can tell within 5 minutes what sort of performance you're going to see, and it never ever seems to change. Like you said, Gary, after we scored, the tempo was suddenly whoosh. It suddenly went up. I know goals change games, but it went up 4 levels after we scored, and then suddenly we're creating chances and we're bursting through them. Gassama's coming alive. There's movement and everything. Even when we had 10 men, but why does it take so long? And it was the same last week when Motherwell scored. After that, we were bursting into the box. Rami was getting the ball. Okay, his final ball was poor, but we started creating chances. Why are we not doing that from the first minute? It just blows my mind why we think that we can just turn up. And these players think they can just swan about Ibrox. And I mean, the fans let them know. We'll probably speak about that a little bit later. But why these players think they can just swan up and they've just got the right to just not have to do the basics and they're just going to win football matches. It doesn't work like that in Scotland. Number one thing you need to do is outwork the opposition, and that's what Martin promised us was going to be happening. But so far, we're just not seeing it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to finish this game, so we'll move on to preview. So I'm going to start with you, Ricky, just in terms of the penalty, right? So I've been quite interested. So you watch social media a lot more than I do. What looked like pretty stonewall, pretty blatant penalty was easy to have a lot of criticism as if it wasn't deserved. And then secondly, I suppose it takes a fair amount of pressure on a penalty, waiting 3 minutes for it when you're. I thought you might give it Dessers.
Yeah, no, it was a clear penalty. It was a clear penalty for me. I mean, the guy was all over him. You don't need to make that much contact for it to be a penalty. This nonsense that Gassama played for it. Maybe he was clever when he got into the box, but it was an absolute clear penalty. He was running at full pace. It's just the usual in Scotland, mate. Anytime Rangers get a penalty, it's a big conspiracy, all that garbage. But no, it was a good penalty for Tavernier. He put it away right in the side net, and great finish from Tab. But at the end, I mean, Martin's going to learn quick that a draw is the same as a defeat. So he thinks that we're unbeaten. But for me, 2 draws is the same as 2 defeats in Scotland. So Celtic are winning, Hearts are winning. So again, we're miles away. So he better get that out of his head that draws are okay in Scotland, because that's just not the case.
Yeah. So the game comes in. Obviously, Dessers got as when it's offside. And I think he gets a lot of criticism when he's offside, but most strikers play on the edge of the line anyway, and it's going to happen on and off. That's part of the game. Did you say good finish, but we didn't deserve it anyway.
No, we didn't deserve it, Gary. But sometimes if that goes in, you take it, don't you? And it just glosses over the fact you were poor. But at this time of the season, with the stuff that's going on and talking about time and talking about new players, you still need to win. And that's what we've not done. I know he says we're undefeated. We're still undefeated. And that's great if you're Southampton, Swansea, MK Dons. But no, me Rangers, because basically we're in I was going to say a 2-horse league. It's probably a 1-horse league, because when's the last time we actually put in a challenge? Really? Do you know what I mean? Apart from the year we won it, we've not really challenged at all. We've kind of come on, could have, and then we kind of shat the bed after Motherwell. But it's a different game up here. It's different. Everything's different. The pressure's different. The football's different. And I don't know if he can be able to handle that. Martin's a very laid back guy, and he's been used to saying things, and you've seen him on Sky after Southampton sacked him, who's sticking to his principles. No matter if they get beat, he's still sticking to his principles. That's fine. That's fine. I'm no disrespecting Southampton. They're a big football club, but it's different up here because if Southampton save themselves from relegation or finish in the top 10 in the Premier League, they're bouncing for joy because Premier League's all a bit dosh, and that's basically what they're getting more money. Even if you're relegated, to get more money. Up in Scotland, if we finish second, it's failure. No matter what else we do, it's failure. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. They've won 14 leagues out of 15, Gary. So time, and I'll keep going about time. Time to me is something we can't. I know we have to give it to managers, but I hate doing it because it'll be rinsing the Peter with somebody else in the door next year. Because I don't see it lasting. I hope he proves. I'm sitting here at the end of the season, you're all saying you're a knob, but you were wrong. And I'm saying that's fine. We've got trophies in the bag, but we've won the league. I was challenging for something, but I don't see it.
Definitely, Scott.
I don't see it because we're 4 points behind, and no matter who Celtic buy or who they don't buy, they're not dropping half a dozen points. I mean, so they're not dropping a dozen points this season because they know how to beat the rest of the league even if they're poor, whereas we don't, and that's a problem.
So Ricky, I suppose there's been a bit of a hype, right? There's two different strands to this. One, there is the European thing we're going to come on in a wee second, and making the Champions League would be huge in terms of financial income and all the rest of the stuff. And we are only two domestic games into the season. Do you think we need a little bit more patience? It's been quite a visceral reaction at times.
Yeah, no, but we do need patience, Gary. But still, man, I mean, come on. I like, as I'll say it again, I was just so devastated on Saturday. Like, honestly, I just didn't see it coming, mate. And I know we should have seen it coming because this is what this team do and everything like that. But I really thought the performance was so good on Tuesday, so powerful. Two new wingers, everything was exciting. I just did not see that coming at Ibrox against Dundee. And even with Martin, we need to learn to, even if that happens on Saturday, after the first half, he needs to learn to just get a 1-0 victory. I said it in a couple of pods ago. Any team that wins the league in Scotland, I can't remember how many we had when we won 55, but you probably need 5 or 6 1-0 victories throughout the season. And I hope Martin understands that and he knows that, because any team that wins the league, there's always going to be games, especially when you're playing so many games in Europe and you've got so much competitions on the go. And that's for every team. There's always going to be games. They managed to get over the line against St Mirren first game of the season. I mean, that 3 points at the end of the season could be absolutely massive. And so Martin needs to sort that out, and he needs to start finding a way that if he sees that performance in the first half, he's got to change it at half time, mate. He's got to take the players off and just make some tweaks. You can still have the same system, but you've got to make some tweaks. Like you said, throw Danilo up front and take one of the 8s off and maybe try and just go a bit long at times and stuff like that. Just change it a little bit in Scotland. Make the other manager think, because if you think that if you play the first half and your defenders have got 150 passes each, and your midfielder's got 20 passes and your striker's got 16, and you just do exactly the same thing in the second half, it doesn't make much sense. So he's got to learn quick, Gary. And any manager, it doesn't matter who you are, you've got to be able to swallow your ego a little bit, because every country is different where you manage. Every league is different. The players you have are different. So it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, there was a brilliant interview with Jose Mourinho about Pep Guardiola at the weekend, and he was being a bit salty, as Jose always is. But he said, look, the reason that Pep can play the football he plays is because he can just keep buying. He had England's #1 goalkeeper. He got rid of him and brought in Claudio Bravo. Realised he wasn't doing the job he did. He got rid of him and brought in Ederson, Brazil's #1. And he can do that in every position. Martin can't do that. He's got to get the best out of the players he has. So being Pep Guardiola is great on paper and great in your mind. But if you don't see it, especially with the Rangers support, and I like that the players, that was a bit salty for them on Saturday, mate. I think the fans, the players need to get a grip. Your Cyril Dessers and your Butlins biting back at the supporters. The supporters travel from all over the UK, Ireland, different places. They get on ferries, they stay in hotels. These guys are the ones that know what stress is and what it feels like to feel anxious, to get to Ibrox to watch their team. So that's what it's like, real life. Not arseholes turning up in sports cars that are driving up to Ibrox and going home to their mansions when the results don't hurt, because the results always sting for us supporters. And the players would do well to realise that when they're biting back, saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. Don't tell the Rangers fans how they need to support their team, Gary. They don't need to hear that.
So I'm going to move on to this. So the one positive, as I read today, was that the last time we lost was it 1989? Was it the first time we'd not won in the first 2 games, and that season we won the league. So but there maybe is a positive along that. So moving on to before we come to preview, Scott, transfers. So we're about to sign allegedly. Was it Nabu Mendy or something? Nabu Mendy, 20-year-old left-sided centre back from Real Betis. It's maybe played a handful of games at that level. Slightly strange in the sense that we were like McCoy Cody for 2 months in experience and needing a bit more depth and experience. We're now going to sign a 20-year-old left back in a 5-year contract. As a left centre back in a 5-year contract.
That's strange, Gary. I totally agree with you. I think the boys signed a 5-year deal. You say maybe an option in another year, but he's only played 2 games for Betis. First team he's played with Betis B, and he's been other teams. But it's a big move for him. Granted, he got offered to go elsewhere, and he wants to come here, and that's great. But we need players to come and help us at this moment in time. I don't want him to be another Fernandez and sitting on the bench thinking he'll do in a couple of years' time. We can't afford that. We've got too many players at the club at this moment in time, and we need somebody that's going to come in and make an impact at this moment in time. We can't wait. I mean, Giga's done it, but he's obviously suspended, and Suter's doing okay, but if he's looking for bringing a left-sided centre-back, then what does that say about John Suter for me? I don't know. But I say that's 2 centre-backs he brought in, and if they don't, both of them don't play, one of them plays. What's that tell you about the boy Fernandez? But it was a strange signing for me, and I like the boy Fernandez. I mean, they played with Peterborough. Granted, their fans gave him a bad stick, but fans do that when you leave, and the end ends up saying he's shite anyway. But League One's a tough league, and he'll probably be more used to a game up here than somebody coming from Spain, because League One's physical. It's not like the Championship, the Premier League. It's a physical league to get off, because there's a lot of guys down there just playing football, not for a lot of cash, but just playing for love of the game. And I think you could have flung him in, because he's a big, tall boy. We're not great in there, and why not give him a chance? I don't know. I don't even ask the question. He's never really mentioned him either, hasn't he? Not Fernandez at all. He's not really mentioned him. He's in the squad, but he's not mentioned his name at all. So I don't know. I mean, somebody said he's a lump of wood. I think a lump of wood can maybe head of that ball be right enough, but I don't know. We must have seen someone to pay 15.5 million. If we didn't, then very well and Purdy's bought a duffer already. Then, do you know what I mean?
And in terms of Mendy, I think PSV were going to sign him for 3.5 million as well. When I couldn't get him because of the number of foreigners or some other things. So it's maybe part of the strategy. If it's using very much data analytics and all the stuff, there'll be a lot of players that they're buying based on a whole set of things that they think are going to maybe become something sellable at a later date. That's maybe part of the argument.
You're getting these stats and data, but from different leagues. So what they do in that league is totally different from what they do here. That's how I like stats-based scouting, but I think your eyes always tell you the full picture. So I think you need a bit of both.
Yeah.
I don't think you can go with one or the other now. I think you need a bit of both, but go and see the guy before you actually sign somebody. Go and watch him a couple of times just to see what he offers and if he fits into the way you're playing. Don't sign somebody on these stats and they think he's great at that. He's one of the best rated left-sided centre-backs for his age group. That's great. Let's go and get him. Then you bring him in, you're thinking, wow, who did we sign here when he's in training? See, that might be good in training and not be good in the first team, as a lot of our players seem to be.
I want to keep moving on, Ricky, because there's probably lots to cover on that. Well, if he signs during the week, we need another centre half, no doubt, because we've all got 3 effectively with King and Enciala and Davies on the way out. So it does add that 4th one. Whether he's going to play regularly or not, we will see as the time goes on. But I suppose just before we move on to the preview, the last other thing that jumps out to me was it a cooperation agreement, Ricky? Is that what you call it? When Wraith is it still in now? We're going to potentially get some of our players for match days and chip back to where he was during the week.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's strange that we three teams you would imagine is a bit much, but I think it's different levels of the game in Scotland. The Wraith Rovers one I really like because I think we've got some good players coming through that we could do with maybe sending them there for 2 years. I mean, if you look at even, I mean, is it a high enough level for Rice? I would like to see Rice be in the Premier League and Curtis, but a bit below that, I think, like NCR, what's the guy called? Is it Paul NCR or something? I think players like that. NCO, yeah, players like that, I think would be good to send to Rafe Rovers. The guy's doing well at Dunfermline. He's had a good start, running the goal, 2 clean sheets. They're raving about him already, 2 clean sheets at Dunfermline. So that's the sort of loan moves that you like to see. You like to see the player doing well. It's still levels below what we need to. It's still a big jump up from Rafe Rovers to Rangers. But if you can get them there young enough for 2-3 seasons, I like them playing man's football at that sort of level. So we'll see, mate. I think it's one of the things you're not really going to know how good it is until 5, 6, 7 years down the line, when you see if it is going to be enough to bridge that gap, because now the gap's massive from the B team to the first team. So, and even Curtis and Rice that are round about the first team, they're still struggling to make that step up. I mean, Curtis had a good start to the season, but now that we've brought in other wingers and then Moore's going to be there, will he stay? Will he go on loan? There's talk that they're thinking it's better to send him on loan and bring in another winger, so that we've got 4 competitive wingers, and then Curtis is actually getting minutes and playing every week, which would make a lot of sense. So it'll be interesting to see how that situation works out. But as I said, it'll be a few years until we see if it's good or not. But on paper, it looks like every team's doing it now in Scotland. So we're a bit late to the party, but at least we're there now, mate.
Yeah. And I suppose we move on to the press conference, and you've talked a wee bit about that, Ricky, already. But I suppose that the main takeaway for me was there was a lot of talk about Raskin. I think Russell Martin's suggestion was that Raskin has been a bit mentally out of sync because of all the rumours around his potential transfers. And he also made it clear that after the game against Motherwell, he spoke to him and he now is doing what he's told. Was kind of the way that, I mean, without saying those words, that was the gist of what he was trying to say. So,
yeah, but I mean, Martin brought Rothwell in even when he watched the games for last season and he knew where Raskin was playing. I mean, he knows Raskin. He's probably watched him play for Belgium as well, so he knows that his best position is a 6. But he was a good number 8 for Ferguson, but I'm sure he was on the right side more than he was the left side, and he was playing more as a hybrid midfielder. So he was playing between the 6 and the 8 and the 10. He was a bit all over the place, but Martin doesn't like that in his team. For whatever reason, the players have to be very rigid, and that's maybe what Raskin is struggling with. But Raskin's Raskin's a top player. If Martin's football does work, Raskin will be the one to make it work and support him on that journey. I mean, all the crap he was on about other teams have been filling his head with this and filling his head with that. I don't think that's got anything to do with why Raskin has struggled at the start of the season. I think a lot of players are struggling to understand exactly what they have to do in this system, and maybe why Martin has taken this player out of his best position and making him play this weird left-sided mad position. I mean, why Raskin's been asked to play there is just... And I know Cameron was really good, and hopefully Cameron starts tomorrow and is really good again. It will be interesting to see the team sheet tomorrow to come out. I would like to see Diamandi come out of that team for sure. But I mean, Raskin in the 6 and maybe move Rothwell up and try that would maybe be worth an effort, but we will see.
Yeah. And Scott, and sticking with Raskin, because you're obviously a big fan, and you talk a lot about him. I just thought it was interesting, kind of in such detail, suggesting that the issue around all these transfer fees and media talking about it, and how he's taking a learn what he's supposed to do. Don't think there was any for the question was asked. He went into more depth. I thought it was necessary.
It was, Gary. I don't know if he's trying to get a rise out of him, if he's trying to make him play better, if he's trying to say to him, you'll play, but you have to do what I see. I mean, supposed to be the reason he get criticised. It wasn't he never tried against Motherwell. He was coming out of position. He wasn't doing what Martin asked him. But see, if you play football, nothing ever goes smoothly. You can't do the same things constantly. So game situations change. That's why you've got a captain in the park. Do you know what I mean? You've got a captain there, because sometimes things change. Motherwell might have changed formation or whatever, or maybe somebody else has changed play and you think, I need to come in here now, I don't know why he spoke so much about him, but he says all that about him and he says he's been amazing.
Aye.
and he's been playing, and he's tackled more on the part against Dundee and against any other players in the team. So I don't know. He confuses me, Russell, man. He's a strange one, and if he continues to go the way he goes, I'll do what I done with Clermont, and I'll stop listening to pressers, and I'll just get the clips we used to.
So let's talk Pilsen then, right? Because this is a big game tomorrow. It's a huge game at the end of the day. We are fortunate maybe that we don't need to talk about as much because we're 3-0 up from the first leg, and maybe feel a bit more confident than we normally would in a second leg of a third round Champions League qualifier. Try to work that out in my head. Ricky, in terms of the team then, I suppose, well, the style of play is obviously you've got a 3-0 lead. Do you look to make it short it up and go a bit tighter, or what would you look to do tomorrow?
Well, I don't think he will. I'll be honest with you, mate. I've had zero interest or thought about the game. I will watch it tomorrow night, and of course I'll be interested about it. But I've been so scunnered after Saturday. And normally I'm in my bed at night thinking about teams lying until 1 a.m. But this since Saturday I've just been just making a voodoo doll with Russell Martin and getting pins to stick in it. Call them all the vegan this, vegan that. Yeah, get some steak into you and get that. No, mate, but we'll see. I think it'll be. I would like to see Diamande come out the team and maybe, I don't know. I mean, is he going to stick with Aarons at right back? He was shocking on Saturday as well. Maybe bring Tavernier back in at right back, and Dessers needs to get his finger out as well, man, because he was all over the place. We need a big performance from him away from home in Europe, and he is capable of it, but he needs to hold the ball up and bring the wide players into it. I think we can beat them over there. I know. I think they're a very physical, strong team. As long as you don't concede an early goal, mate, and that you pick and you can pick them off and get that one. If Rangers score one, then a bit like what happened in Greece. Right, if Rangers score one goal, the tie is completely dead. I'm pretty confident we'll go through. I think it could be a bit of a. It's not going to be a great evening. You're not going to. It never happens away. I think people get confused with group stages European football and qualifier European football. You never see teams go away from home in qualifiers and play expansive football and it be amazing. It's just about getting the job done, getting to that next tie so we can concentrate on Bruges, get Ibrox sold out for that and have a massive night against Bruges. So as long as we go through, I think it'll be a draw again, probably a draw again. As long as if they score and we score, I think as long as we score, then we definitely go through, Gary. And I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get a goal. So 1-1 for me, mate.
Yourself, Scott. So I suppose the things are: do you go three at the back, or do you, as Ricky says, you bring in Tav, take out Dio, to bring out look to play Dessers? What sort of stuff would you look to change?
I bring in Tav and Raskin for the starting lineup. Aarons, I think. I don't know if his confidence has dipped a bit, but I don't think he's played well on Saturday. I think he has struggled. Obviously, been unfairly been playing at left back and then moved to right. And
He struggled in the home leg against Pilsen Bar. I mean, I think Ricky gave him a 6 out of 10, but for that was that one ball, really. Other than that, he had a pretty poor game.
He done okay. It wasn't fabulous, but listen, I think he just needs a rest. I think he needs to take out a fire line. I think the game's safe. I think we will go through, and Pilsen have to come out. They can't sit. They have to come out. They're 3-0 down. They need to come out and score at least 4 goals, which even with our defence, I don't think they will. But you can never say never in football, but I still think we'll go through, which is good because obviously we're through to the next round. Closer to was maybe getting to the Champions League, which is still 50-50 depending on who we get. But I think he has to think up. I think I would bring in Raskin. I would drop Dio and Rothwell. I would drop both of them. Play Tav and I would play Cameron and I don't even know who else is in the squad, Gary, but I'd play somebody else sitting there. But I think you have to mix it up. I think you need legs in the team, Gary. And I think not like Joe Rothwell. I think he's technically very good. He's a good passer, plays his head up. But I think Ricky was spot on with Suter and Giga playing so many passes. He kind of gets lost. He's standing at the side. You want him on the ball, just give him the ball, let him dictate like a quarterback. But we're not been doing that. So I think he will play, but I would give him a rest. I think I would give him a rest tomorrow and against Alloa and get him fit for the next league games. We'll get him more getting for the next 2 league games. But I think we need legs in the team. I think we lack that. I think we do, and I think it will be a hard game tomorrow night because they have to come out, don't they? I don't know what size their stadium is. I know it's not them
11,000, I think, is it 11,000 or something? That's not much. No more than 15,000 anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in my work, so I'm in the office till 8 o'clock. So I'm going to see it, so I'll have to try and get it on my phone or just Twitter or listen to folk in the chat to see what they're talking about. But I think we will go through. I think it will be quite comfortable at the end of the day, and we look forward to the next round. But I don't really judge us on the European games, Gary, because we know what we've been shown us over the last few years, no matter who's on the side. Domestically, what we need to be judged on, and it has to start soon.
Yeah, no, I agree. As I say, every time we talk about this, one doesn't coexist with the other. Sadly, and the £40 million of Champions League helps you potentially do that sort of thing as well. So much as the league's the most crucial thing, the Champions League brings in the dough. So I think that's the challenge with it. I'd probably much the same, and maybe go change formation and go 4-2-3-1 and put Raskin and Rothwell a bit deeper, just settle in the first half hour, let it be a bit, let the game settle. Probably wouldn't play Cameron. I think the physicality, sometimes you maybe be better with going with something a bit stronger in there. Other than that, it's pretty much same as, isn't it? There's not a lot of options. Guys like Bayrami, who didn't make the bench at the weekend, which is presumably either, if not an injury, he's well down the pecking order, barring I can't see coming in.
No
so
way.
other options there.
Jinky starts double more in his natural position as in more a central midfielder.
I didn't think Dowell was that bad when he came on at the weekend. I know he got booed. I actually thought he was better than Diamande. Okay, the only thing was
Diamande and I was at a party.
I know, mate. He was pinging in. He was playing the bad cross, like stupid crosses into the box from the left hand side that were a bit frustrating.
He's always cutting back on his left foot, but
but I actually thought he was all right in there. I thought he looked much better than anyone else that played in there for the 90 minutes. I understand the fans' frustration with him, and I understand he's not done anything the 3 years he's been here, and he's a bit of a whipping boy and everything just now. But our options are a bit limited with what we've got to pick from. I mean, I think Martin said it in the press conference, and he was aiming it at Baz Rami and stuff like that. He's like, "Look, guys, we're paid millions for these guys, and they don't try and train, and they're not interested whatsoever. So this is the options we've got just now. So it'll be interesting to see who he does pick in there, to be honest."
Personally, I don't think that was good enough, okay, for us. But if you want to judge him properly, play him in his normal position.
And he's back there, number 8, number 10.
Number I don't hang him out to dry and play him on the right side when we know he struggles here. Play him in his actual position, because Martin even alluded to it, didn't he? That's not his position he's playing in, that's not his natural position. We'll play him in it then. And we'll see how good he actually is, and if it's a player that turns up in training, or if it's another Brandon Barker situation, we just don't know.
What I would say, I was just going to say one thing, Ricky, is it was interesting. He says, "I'm judging players based on what I've seen this season," and then the next breath he then says, "But I was looking at what they've done last season, and then all these other things." So, a lot of contradictions. Doesn't ever help himself.
No, I totally agree, and no, I agree with Raskin and Rothwell. Like, how just get them to one of them to take the ball off the centre back and get one of them closer so they can break the lines, because they're the ones that have got the talent. Raskin's got the ability to put tempo in your performance. There's no way you can just do exactly what we did on Saturday and allow Suter to have the ball trying to come out, because it's never Jigger. It's always poor Suter, and it's Suter. Honestly, he's like a bloody two lorries tied together, man. His legs are tied together. He plays so slow when he's trying to kick the ball. The game's in slow motion when he's trying to get to the ball to kick it. It's incredible. So for me, you can't have that again. You can't have that again, because the tie's not over. If they score early, then it can be. We don't want one of these nights where it's like, oh, for God's sake, then. So you don't want to come away from there with a 2-0 defeat. So it's important that he picks the right team, and we get. They need to cheer us up, but it won't cheer me up. Even if they win tomorrow night, I'll still be raging from Saturday, mate. 100%.
Do you know? You made me think there. Do you remember, obviously, in Gio's time? Was it Gio's time? Was the whole John Lundstram would drop back all the time because somebody actually could take the ball? You wonder if there's a bit more even of that. Just maybe Rothwell drop back and Suter move to the side a wee bit, just give it space to let the actual ball player play.
But is it because he wants to? I've been interviewing, he wants the full backs and the 8s out, and I think he overcomplicates it for the players. Football players know what their strengths and weaknesses are. But when you tell me to do something, then they're scared. I don't know if because he's called him out against Motherwell, I'd overpass it because they're scared to make a ball, to take a risk with a ball, because nobody seems to take the risky pass in case it doesn't come off, and that's how you get a goal, taking the risk in case they get called out and then they're dropped. I don't know, I'm only surmising here, but it just seems to be it's too slow, tedious, and there's no tempo. And Ricky's right, the only tempo you see when Raskin comes on, because he's a bit of a bite, but he likes to do the give and go. He likes to do the ones and twos, goes forward and move it on the next pass. There's nothing of that. I thought I might have seen that for Cameron, but he wasn't getting involved enough because the ball's not moving quick enough.
Yeah, no, definitely. So predicted scoreline, Ricky, you said one each, even though it's not going to make you happy either way.
Yeah, no, I'll still be raging, mate. I'll still not be getting to sleep. I'll just want anger in my eyes. So we'll say 1-1, but after Saturday, the players are still in the bad books for me, mate.
And that one against Allo's not even going to sort it for you.
No chance. St Mirren, they need to beat St Mirren, Celtic, Livingston, and Hearts, and I'll forgive them for that Dundee performance.
So you had it here, Russell Martin. That's what's required. If it's no more, Ricky will still be raging. Scott, predicted scoreline.
I think it'll be 2 each, Gary, because I think we'll concede because I don't think we're defensively very good, and but I think we will score. But I think we'll go through. That's the main thing. The score's not important to me. It's getting through, and that's the main thing in these rounds.
No, do you know, it's funny. I was reading the Daily Record right earlier, just briefly, the writers' predictions. Now I watched last week's predictions where the Rangers are going to struggle in every game against Pilsen, and then this week's predictions is every team they're going to beat them. Every single one of them's going to beat them. Do you know, it's just, you're thinking, what's that based on? Somebody's asking there about the Smurn game. Did I see that there? Sorry, Paul. I believe that Russell Martin said in his press conference, well, he did. He said we've not decided yet. So I think his answer was we'll decide after we get through or don't get through, and we'll take it from there. So maybe they play the game against Smurn, but there's nothing.
Would you postpone it? Because I would. Because the next round's a very big round.
The Champions League round is more important. It's more important right now. I would probably do it.
You need to give yourself time to think, and maybe a couple more training sessions helps. I don't know, but I would postpone it because you don't want to get you don't want to lose to St Mirren, which is very, very 90% chance that could happen at this moment in time, and then going to the next Champions League fixture with your head down. Do you know what I mean? Or get beat with St Mirren and beat Bruges and think what's going on here? But we're into Champions League group sessions, but we can't beat St Mirren, Dundee, and Motherwell. Do you know what I mean?
And Giga might be suspended. We shouldn't be relying on one player getting out of the team. I think that's the thing in it. We shouldn't really based on just Giga and his availability.
I would postpone every league game until we're sure that the football's going to kick in the way that he wants it. So if we can do that until October, and we'll be 35 points behind, but we'll have 10 games to catch up. That would be. Can we do that, please, until we get a manager that actually gets us playing the way that we're supposed to play, mate? Because I'm sick of these managers that keep telling you it'll be okay in October, it'll be okay in November, and then we'll get to Christmas time and we'll be getting hammered by St Mirren and Motherwell again, and it'll be like, oh my God, here we go again. You know,
I think we should stop looking at Celtic. I think we should start looking at other teams in the league first of all and say, right, we need beat all them first, because we beat Celtic last season and it mattered nothing at all.
They know how to win, Kerr. They know how to win. They don't even have to be brilliant. They just turn up and win every week, and that's where we need to get to, because we're so far away from that. It doesn't matter what players they pick, they get the win. It's scary. We are so far away from that. It is unbelievable.
And I suppose before we'll talk about this later in the week, but the press conference also did say Asgard, Mikey Moore, and Iggyman should all be in the squad for Saturday. So that's going to bring 3 really good quality players back into the squad. So should help us start to. I know they need a bit of time before they're actually fit enough.
Sorry, just before you go, the problem is, Gary, though, they're just going to be standing up front as Suter's passing to Jigga to Aarons to Yefte to Jigga to Suter to Aarons to Yefte to Jigga. So there's no point you could put Ronaldo, Messi, and anyone you want up front, mate. But if we're playing the U-shape, the horseshoes back, then what does it matter?
I suppose a good thing if you get somebody like Iggyman and he's playing and he does take risks. Right, that's his game. Asgard, I believe, is a similar type of player. Will do things more creatively, as is Mikey Moore. So that might make a difference having players in the middle to the front that are going to. Because you need to beat somebody sometimes, and a lot of time we weren't doing that. And number 8s weren't beating somebody, as you say, back to goal. So bringing in other players that might make a bit of a difference from there, help the squad. We will be back. I think, Scott, if I remember rightly, we won't be back on Friday. Is it going to be Thursday this week, potentially?
Thursday this week, because you've got the... I'm away on Friday and you've got the...
Heart and Hand podcast thing. Right,
podcast on Friday, and Ricky's got his beer to drink.
Yes,
No, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm on a diet, mate. I'm on a diet. I've got to lose 40 pounds, so I'm no wild beer, just water.
It will be Thursday unless Ricky wants to do it himself on Friday. That's it. So,
no chance, mate. No chance.
Ricky's rant for it. Just call it Ricky's rant for an hour.
No chance, mate.
So hopefully tomorrow a good result. We've got good positive stuff to talk about come Thursday, potentially more signings, and looking forward to... I'm not looking forward to the League Cup, Premier Sports Cup, or whatever it's called, on the Saturday. So we'll be back Thursday night, and other than that, we'll have a good week. See you later.